Hey everyone, welcome back to our Mevo live stream coverage here at the 2018 Twin Cities Film Fest Insider Series. We're offering up our May edition, and we are in front of a documentary that is highlighting and paying homage to one of the most beloved professional clubs in Minnesota because they do things differently, and we are getting to talk to the guy that's behind the whole existence of this club, who is largely responsible for the entire idea of how the Saints came to be. I, of course, am talking about the St. Paul Saints. The name of the documentary is For the Fun of the Game. We just got to talk to Jordan Lynn, and Michael Veeck is the co-owner now, but you are the founder of the club. You've been with it since its inception, and there's a neat Bill Murray story tied into here, but this Minnesota-focused franchise has created a culture, and they've won ball games, which they're doing what the major leagues are doing now. He was doing it 25 years ago. It is such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Getting to talk to you in front of your film tonight. So Jordan brought this idea to you, the front office, and he couldn't emphasize enough how open and awesome everyone in the front office was to saying, yes, make this a reality.
Well, I think the thing that you realize once you meet Jordan is he's very persuasive. He's very talented, obviously, but most importantly, he represents art. And art is what the Saints were about from the very beginning.
Yes.
Everything was designed around, as you mentioned, my partner, Bill Murray. So we employ 4 or 5 artists, 2 or 3 street artists. We have music at every ball game, sometimes twice. So it's a celebration of the senses. And I knew that Jordan, because he runs our media platforms, would understand how we wanted to be represented. And so for the modern age Saints fans, he was the perfect guy to do it.
So you couldn't have been happier that it was someone from on the inside that understood, was a part of the culture as well. So awesome. So us getting to talk to you, I want to talk about your idea, bringing the Saints to life. You wanted to do things differently. You wanted to create a culture. Your background previous to being with the Saints was what? I apologize that I'm...
Oh, I spent 10 years in the big leagues. I worked for the White Sox and the Devil Rays and the Marlins, and so I had all of these ideas that I had never been able to do because there are always these restraints. And so I just kind of kept them in a little catalog and vowed one day when I had the chance I was going to try all these things that people had said were real stupid.
And look what you've done. The following is enormous. And what I think is so remarkable is you've backed it up with wins. You have an incredibly successful club. Players love coming here. And we've had big names that have played with the club. And you've also had a host of really strong ball players. Talk to us also about farming that talent, because it's not just an experience for the fans. You're bringing championships to the Northern Division.
Well, we've had 140 plus players who've gone back to major league organizations, so they've rescued, if you will, their careers. 20 plus major leaguers who've gone back to the big leagues. So it's great AA to AAA baseball, depending on the pitching. And in the very beginning, we were going to be town ball. But we knew we were never going to be town ball, that there are guys who slip through the cracks. There are people like Darryl Strawberry, who was held out. Jack Morris pitched his last professional game for the Saints, and he's going in the Hall of Fame this summer. So there's pretty good caliber. There
is, and you also brought the team to the forefront once again by providing them most recently with one of the premier stadiums to play in. Not only in just the Northern Division, in your league, but in all of minor league baseball. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, CHS Field was designed by Julie Snow, and it was designed almost entirely by women. AECOM oversaw it, the baseball architecture side, and Ryan Companies built it. But the idea was to not build a cookie-cutter stadium like everyone else had done. So we went to Julie, whose previous credits were the Russian Museum, and she's looking at this saying, I don't design ballparks. And I said, that's exactly why we want you. We want no preconceived notions. And it's the only minor league ballpark, it's the only ballpark in history that's won an A1A architectural award from Philadelphians. It's won 10 other awards that I'm aware of. And we had people in from Japan, but my favorite was from Auckland last week to view this ballpark. People are coming from all over the world because it's Frank Lloyd Wright inspired.
Yeah, and these are architects, designers, or fans, or
architects and designers, people who are coming to look at this and say, this is the wave of the future. Open spaces, lots of glass, lots of metal, lots of wood.
Yes.
And 97%, because it's the Twin Cities Film Festival, 97% of CHS Field is indigenous to Minnesota. There's not another ballpark in the country that can claim that.
And you know what else? The food. Your vendors, what you're offering, that's part of the experience as well, but it's second to none.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. We take a lot of chances. We have cooks and chefs in that order who operate down in Charleston. We have test kitchens.
Yep.
And so we test things constantly.
Yep.
Bill and I have 2 restaurants in Charleston that we use, and John Schumacher oversees those, so that we're constantly fooling with recipes and things indigenous to the particular market we're in, obviously in St. Paul, walleye and things like that.
Talking back about the experience of what fans are offered, I get to a game or 5 every season, and every season that I'm there, it's something different. It's never the same unique but washed out kind of, rewound experience. That is probably the creatives in the front office that you bring, but it's always something new and different, and you're constantly striving to be unique and creative, and you've handed that culture down with your staff.
Yeah, people are different, and people are constantly changing. And one of the things that we've been good about, in my opinion, there are a lot of mistakes we've made, but one of the things we've been good about is understanding that sports fans aren't one-dimensional. People need all aspects of their personality to be fed. And the way to keep them interested is to make them think, if I don't go tonight, those idiots are liable to do something really frightening.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the first blind announcer, and I'm proud of the first woman to pitch professionally. I was in Cooperstown, New York, and the Saints have a prominent display where Isla Borders, who pitched for us 20 years ago, is displayed. So we've been at the forefront of changes, but underneath it all is this desire to make people laugh and have joy.
And you do it season after season. Mike Veeck, so kind of you to join us in front of our documentary for the St. Paul Saints at the Twin Cities Film Fest. Member series, our insider series, we're right in front of it. We're going to have a bit more coverage with some other guests that are part of the franchise as well, but this was such a treat. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to be back. I get to be your host tonight, Doug Sidney. Stay tuned.